Hi guys. I wanted to talk today about a couple of questions that I get sometimes when I tell people about my recovery story with fruit, and how by eating enough, just that simple change has made all the difference, and um, that oopsie, um, that I simply feel like it's completely different, that I am 100% okay, that everything, my eating disorder is gone. Um, so I often, like, people ask, like, I mean, most people are really inspired by it, especially if they're also foodies or, high carb vegans or something, that they, it makes sense to them because, their life has been changed by this lifestyle as well, so they get it when they hear that something as unbelievable as actually feeling completely free from your eating disorder. When they hear about that, it actually, they're like, oh, okay, yeah. They accept it more than, someone who has no point of reference with this lifestyle. So anyways, but they still, like, people still are like, so you really feel like 100% like it's gone, like, because it is pretty well understood, like most people understand that, um, you know, at least outside of the realm of this um, fruit-based reality, that the eating disorder is for life, that you're always going to have it, that it's never going away, you're going to struggle with it every day, and you can maintain it, and there will be times when it's okay and times when it's worse, but it's always going to be there. And the short answer to that is yes, I do feel like it's 100% gone. And the follow-up question to that is usually, like, do you ever, does it ever come up for you? Does it ever, like, do you feel like you want to restrict? Do you, have, like, eating disorder thoughts, but you're just not doing it? And the short answer is no. That's how it used to be when I was doing well, but still not recovered. When I was in my periods of, you know, getting along and doing okay and not fully, like, indulging my eating disorder, basically, then that's how I felt, that I would think about it and it was always there, but out of sheer, willpower and having, coping mechanisms or, whatever, um, I could, not do it. I could not restrict. I could, um, hold it together, basically. So I guess, like, the best analogy that I could come up with to explain how this is different is that fruit is my medicine. And so as long as I'm taking my medicine, then, um, you know, my eating disorder is not here. It's gone. And I'm not struggling with it at all. It's not even, like, I think about it because it still amazes me that that's true. So obviously I think about my eating disorder, and I think about it because I want to share that with other people, because I know at least how many people in my life personally struggle with that. And so obviously, yeah, I'm thinking about it still because it's a huge part. It has been a huge part of my life, and now that it's no longer an issue, I want to, spread that, and hopefully others can, be at least inspired by, like, a story of someone recovering, even if their path to recovery ends up being different than mine. Yeah, so if I stop taking my medicine, though, then I have no doubt that it would come back. At least in, to some capacity. It might never be as bad as it was before, but for sure, like, because it's just like one condition in your body, just like anything else. Like if you're not getting enough sleep, you start going crazy. And that's pretty much what, for me at least, that's pretty much what not eating enough, like, same thing happens. I go crazy, basically. And because really, like, if we are honest about it, like, our impulsive thinking that comes with our eating disorder, and a lot of just all of those thought patterns are entirely illogical. And that's why they're dangerous, because they don't make sense. And those, I mean, I guess I can only, those thoughts can range from anything from just, I'm fat, or I don't, I don't want to eat that, or that's bad for me, or, and like all those things could even not be true, but just like, in other words, they can range from things like pretty normal and what you would think, someone who has an eating disorder would think, but those are nothing, because it can range from that to being, I don't deserve to live, basically, because, I mean, starving yourself is basically a slow suicide. That's what you're doing, and you know it on some level, even if you are in denial of that while you're doing it. You basically get to a point where, at least for me, because that's maybe not how it starts out, but your disorder becomes your identity, and you know that you're completely ashamed of it, and so it kind of it's this strange, vicious cycle of because I'm disordered, I don't deserve to live, but because I don't deserve to live, I'm also disordered, and it gets really weird and complicated. But basically, all of that's illogical, and it doesn't make any sense, and that's what makes it disordered. That's what makes it dangerous, and something that you don't want going on in your brain. And that's, just a symptom of, like, obviously other things too, but if everything else being equal, everything else being dealt with, i.e. your emotional and mental and social and whatever needs, those parts of your being, all of those being dealt with, those completely irrational thoughts are symptoms of your brain not functioning properly. And it's not going to function properly if you're not feeding it. And that's, I'm glad to know that, like, that's a relatively widely accepted view just within, I don't want to call it mainstream, because, like, eating disorder treatment isn't really mainstream at all. But in the standard eating disorder treatment world, I guess, like, i.e. not based, that weight restoration and refeeding, they call it refeeding when you've been starving for a while and then you start eating a lot to try to get back to normal, is essential to recovery. That you can't do both. I mean, you can't do one, or you can't just do one or the other. You can't just have therapy and your inner restoration without also doing your physical refeeding. So anyways, that's a pretty general, like, that's just it's an accepted truth that, like, you have to be eating enough for your brain to be functioning properly, and that is an essential part of getting out of your eating disorder. obviously what's not accepted in many or any circles of eating disorder recovery theory or practice is that though the food that you're getting to your brain has to be a certain quality, I guess you could say, that that mental functioning restoration will go even better if the food that you're feeding your brain is carbohydrates, and particularly fruit, ideally. But anyways, I don't even know what I was saying anymore. I haven't made a video in so long. I have so many thoughts I can't even focus at all. Yeah, so when I'm not eating enough, my brain goes crazy. That's what I was talking about. Okay, so for example, there was because I haven't actually had a period of time where I actually wasn't eating enough for long enough for for my head to get totally nuts. But there was one night, I just got back from Thailand, by the way. I haven't even mentioned that yet. There was one night while I was in Thailand. I was in Bangkok with a couple of my friends. We were only there for a night or two. I didn't really like that city very much. But we were trying to find Rasayana, this low-fat raw vegan restaurant. Or I don't know if it's actually, but anyways, Fruely and Harley have made a video about it, and it looked amazing. We really wanted to go. But getting around Bangkok is kind of a pain in the ass, especially because, the elections had just happened. There were still protests going on and stuff. So, first cab driver we met, wouldn't take us downtown and blah, blah, blah. So anyways, so we didn't actually get there. Or we got there, but it was 2 hours after closing. So, we were all deliriously hungry. And, we just went back to our room and ate some fruit that we already had in our room before going to bed. But then the next morning, so I was going to bed pretty undercarved. I could barely stomach half of a mini watermelon after being so hungry for so long. So then we got the next morning we were looking for a fruit market and we couldn't find one because none of them were open yet. And we were just kind of going, on Song Tao, back and forth on this, main road, trying to find fruit. And finally, as we were, walking back, I went into, a Tesco and just bought, 2 giant jugs of, pasteurized juice because I was just so desperate. I mean, not that, pasteurized juice is only for desperate situations, but, I just wanted fresh fruit. So anyways, positive about that is that in Thailand they have really good juice. I got mangosteen and lychee. Anyways, I was pretty much really, really in a huge calorie deficit for probably a good 16, 20 hours. I don't know. And I definitely was feeling it by that point. Even the night before, you go through those stages of when you're first hungry, it's you're kind of giggly and let's just get there already, and making really funny undercarb jokes. But then you get to being oh my god, I get so irritable, and just all the people I love, I just want to punch in the face, for whatever reason, whatever they're doing, it just starts bugging me. And I objectively know why that's happening, why I'm getting irritable, and why everything's annoying me, so I'm never acting on it or anything. But you're just constantly trying to control yourself, don't hurt anyone. So long story short, by the next day, and by the time we were checking out of our hostel in the afternoon, and the hostel people were just not very friendly, honestly. This was the one place I went where the people just weren't that nice. Yeah, I was losing it at that point. So kind of for me, like what happens, like, first it's just, oh, I'm delirious. And then it's like, oh my God, stop talking to me. I'm really irritable. And then things just get kind of like flatlined. And that's when like it kind of gets, scarier. Like I don't ever want to get this hungry again because this is what happens. And it's just kind of like you see your old self coming back because that's how I used to be, just kind of like flat and just kind of, like numb and nothing really matters. It sounds really emo and pathetic, but that's who I was for a long time. And it's very, it's serious. It's not like just, oh, the world hates me. It's like it's more like you just hate yourself and everything feels really pointless. And it's just like just a not good feeling in general. And it's, you can feel it like starting to pull you down. And just kind of it creeps into like every corner of yourself, and it sucks. So thankfully at that point I had gotten food, and so even though that was like kind of starting, like I was starting to feel like just kind of like, ugh, I'm just so over all this and getting really negative. I also objectively, like, I know at this point what makes me feel that way. And I know that it's just because I'm undercarbed or I'm underslept or whatever, but mainly, it pretty much only happens when I'm undercarbed. So, just get some food, it's gonna be okay. And like, I can get through it. I can get through like a day of like inconvenience like that. And, I'm totally fine. It's okay. Like, I'm not gonna relapse or anything. Even if I didn't have that objectiveness or that experience to like reference, still within one day that would not happen. But if that kept going, if I was either consciously or unconsciously or purposefully or not purposefully under eating for more than a day, more than 2 days, I don't know how long it would actually take, but there's no doubt in my mind that eventually my brain chemistry would change again, or like change back, I should say. And I would no longer be logical. And all of that shit thinking would come back. And everything from, I feel disgusting I am disgusting, and I don't need food, I don't, whatever. All that just craziness. I know that eventually that would come back. And it's not something that you just... I want to be really clear here that it's not something that like you allow to come back. You allow it by maybe like not eating enough because, you're not taking your medicine or whatever. But when those things start coming back into your mind, for those, not meeting your physiological needs reasons, you're not just... I can watch them come back when it's like, small amounts, like I said, like that day in Bangkok or a day after or whatever, of being really hungry. You can, like, I can watch them and know that, know what's happening and know objectively that it's okay. I'm gonna get through it. I'm gonna get food, and these thoughts don't have control over me. But I don't think that you could objectively watch it forever, or I could objectively watch them forever, because then they take control. I don't want to, compare myself to any other my mental illness to any other mental illness, but it is like, I mean, you can't control it, and it's like voices, kind of. But it's not. I don't know how to describe it. So anyways, yeah, food is my medicine. Yes, I feel 100% out of that. And so that's why when those things start, I mean, if I stop taking my medicine and I see the difference, or I feel the difference, or I hear the difference, then that's why it's so weird, and it trips me out, and it's really freaky, because I really don't experience that anymore. If I'm eating enough, like, those things never happen. And again, like, I didn't get that far into that, like, in this experience, there wasn't, I didn't have crazy impulsive thoughts. It was more just like, I felt myself dipping down into a place where I could start hearing that within a couple days, probably. So that's freaky and scary, but it's also really cool, because it's just like another demonstration of, like, I'm doing the right thing. I'm doing what I need to do to take care of myself, and that's eating enough glucose for my brain to function properly, and the rest of my body too. Because there are actually other things that start happening as well, like my tactile, tactily, like, things feel different. Like, my body actually physically starts feeling different. My skin. And the way that it responds to touch. I get really tactily defensive, really sensitive to, like, just anything. Just so, yeah. So it's cool to have those experiences. I mean, it's scary, but it's cool, because it's just one more, like, I've figured this out. Like, I know what I'm doing, and it's amazing. Because it really does show me the contrast of, like, I'm already, incredibly amazed at the difference in myself and my life these days as opposed to a year ago. But it's just really having that juxtaposition is really incredible. And just kind of gives me, like, a peek back at, like, this is what you were like a year ago. And you're not like that anymore, and that's awesome. So, yeah, creepy shit, but really, also really empowering and pretty amazing. So anyways, yeah, long story short, fruit's my medicine. That's my analogy for it. If I stop taking it, then yeah, things are gonna go awry again, probably within, a week or two, or I don't know how long. But, I mean, they start going awry right away, but, nothing too crazy. And, but if I'm taking it, then yeah, everything's awesome. I mean, I'm such a different person from a year ago or 2 years ago or however long. It just is never going to cease to amaze me. Yeah, a year ago I'm almost to the year mark now of being, like, in actual recovery. And that's, again, maybe this is just, like, a whole other video topic, but my idea of recovery has changed so drastically, because, like, before I was saying how, in times when I was doing, like, okay, and, like, managing, it was still, the eating disorder was still there, and I was still struggling against it, but it was just, I just, out of sheer brute strength and, like, just really wanting to, like, be functional, I could do it. It's not an effort anymore. Like, there are other things now that, I'm not like, oh, I'm just sailing through life, but it's not a struggle, and that's just, like, whoa, like, so yeah, it's pretty cool. Anyways, that's a really long video for you guys today. It was meant to be short, but hopefully you enjoy my rambling. Okay, bye.